All set. To call to order a special meeting of the Summers Board of Selectmen. Today is Monday, August 4th, 2025. It's 5 p.m. We're in the Town Hall Auditorium. This meeting will be live streamed. Please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So with regards to roll call, we have Kim LaFleur, our Ops Director, Brian Wissinger, our CFO, Todd Rolland, our Public Works and Land Use Director, and then, of course, we have Selectman Meyer on my right and Selectman Schmidt on my left. Public comment. We might have a little bit of that tonight. Please, David Finney, just state your name and your address.
Is the light screen and it's live?
Yep.
Okay. Dave Finney, 214 Maple Street. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I just got a couple of remarks. I wrote them down, so I'll be organized. But I'm here to celebrate that I understand that we've started to talk about considering how Summers might celebrate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
Right.
I am pleased to hear that. I think it's a great opportunity to come together as a community to consider how this great and noble experiment in self-government began and reflect on how it's working in the present moment. I know the governor has formed a state commission to support towns in developing plans to participate in what's being called America 250, and I'm told our local effort is part of that. So I think this is a time for the selectmen to step up and fully embrace the guidelines put forward from the state about creating our own local committee that reflects all parts of our community. Then we need to broadly and publicly support an effort to put forward a variety of ideas and proposals that will support all of us coming together to celebrate our country and our town, as well as consider what we can do now and going forward to more fully realize the ideals proposed in our founding document.
Okay.
That's my comment.
Very good.
Thank you.
Hello. DKV, Georgewood Road. I want to begin by reiterating what Mr. Pinney stated, by recognizing the effort that's gone into launching a planning process for our town's participation in the America 250 commemoration. This is a significant milestone in our nation's history, and it's important that the town of Summers marks it thoughtfully and inclusively. That said, I do have some serious concerns and questions about how this process is being carried out. The state's America 250 Connecticut Commission has issued a clear values statement that emphasizes inclusivity, mutual respect, broad community engagement, and accessibility. It encourages events and projects that reflect the diversity of our communities and calls on participating organizations to actively reduce barriers, socioeconomic, physical, linguistic, and otherwise. My question is this. Is the current America 250 Planning Committee aligned with these values and guidelines set forth by the State Commission? Specifically, what was the process for selecting committee members? Were invitations to participate extended to the broader community, perhaps through a town newsletter, the Everbridge app, social media, broad outreach to civic organizations? Were educators, students, or people from underrepresented groups invited to contribute? These voices are essential to any commemoration that seeks to be educational, inclusive, and forward-thinking. My other question is, when did this planning process actually begin? Many towns started their planning process well before Summers. We're now under a tight timeline, and meaningful inclusion becomes even more critical when time is limited. A quick look at other small towns in Connecticut, just a search on Facebook alone, shows a wide range of thoughtful, creative, inclusive efforts already underway. Poster contests with local schools, historical snippets shared on social media, community fundraisers, signs, flyers, and events designed to invite participation from all corners of town. These efforts not only inform the public, but they build excitement and give residents a real sense of ownership of the celebration. In contrast, here in Summers, the lack of outreach, transparency, and public involvement in the formation of the committee is deeply troubling. Rather than an open and inclusive process, it appears that key decisions are being made behind closed doors by a very small, hand-picked group without any meaningful input or engagement from the broader community. This approach not only sidelines the voices of residents, educators, and local organizations, it fundamentally undermines the collaborative spirit of this commemoration is meant to foster. Yes, the state's values that are presented, they're guidelines, not mandates. But that makes it even more important that we choose to follow them in good faith. The way this effort has gotten off the ground is not just a missed opportunity to bring our town together for a shared and meaningful experience. It represents a step away from the inclusive and collaborative spirit that the America 250 is meant to embody. From what I can see, the current committee has a narrow vision of what these events should look like in Summers. Just because you can have it how and where you want doesn't mean it's right for the entire town you claim to represent. Given the short timeline, it might be too late. I wonder if that was by design. I urge the leadership of the Planning Committee and the entire Board of Selectmen to take immediate steps to broaden participation, invite diverse voices to the table, and ensure the celebration truly belongs to all of Summers. Thank you for your time, attention, and consideration this evening.
Well, I'd just like to say, I agree with everything you had to say, and I had no idea that this committee had even been formed. I had no idea it had been formed, and then when I found out other things about what was going on with the committee, it was, again, just amazed at the lack of communication to the community as to what was going on and the narrowness of the focus. So I agree with you 100%. I'm hoping that we can widen the people who are part of this committee and get a different perspective about what we're going to do on this than what I've heard from now, because right now it's scaring the living daylights out of me.
Thanks, Mr. Schmidt.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon. Michelle Genesi, 16 Daniel. So while I appreciate that there is an effort to celebrate our country here in Summers, there's a serious problem and a disregard for all of the people who reside here, as the site for this celebration is Hillsdale College, which boldly boasts a replica of Monticello on its property. The original Monticello was a slave plantation. It was the home of one of the so-called founding fathers of this country, Thomas Jefferson, who, like James Madison and other white landowners during his time, was a slave owner who brutalized, abused, whipped, killed, and terrorized black men and boys, raped black women and girls, split families, and plundered black people and Native Americans while fighting for freedom for themselves under the guise of equality for all. Slavery under Jefferson was a system that exploited and excluded people that looked like me. So why then would you presume that this location would be an ideal one to celebrate this country? Who are you celebrating? Jefferson and others knew that the system of slavery was morally wrong, but he did it anyway to promote and maintain a lazy white lifestyle because he lacked business acumen and to pay off enormous debt. Mr. Keeney, you and every Republican in this town who is willing to dismiss the history of Monticello and Jefferson and justify holding a celebration at this site despite the history are sending a strong message that you stand with slavery and with Jefferson and with all white supremacists in this country. Slavery was not just an abstract concept. It was real, and we are still dealing with the repercussions of it today. When are you going to really start doing the work of making something that was so insanely wrong against so many people right? Black women at Monticello and across this country were demonized and made to feel as if they were subhuman. Yet, on the other hand, they were raped and sexually brutalized by white men, and all of this was sanctioned by the American legal system. This sexual violence against black women and girls was ubiquitous throughout slavery. Black women were seen as undesirable, but were sexually objectified. So really, this dehumanizing of black women and men was how Jefferson and other whites obtained and maintained control and power. And as is the case today with institutional racism, wealthy white men lead poor whites to believe that at the least they were and continue to be better off than those black people because of superficial skin color. It did then and continues to give them something to hold on to: power, debtless superiority, and more even while many of them live in abject poverty. The Hillsdale Plantation here in Somers participates in this insane movement to prevent people around the world from learning the true history of American filth and barbarism and what really happened to slaves and their ascendants by erasing our identity through banned books and by teaching false narratives and outright lies. So tell me, what message is the first selectman sending by just assuming that he knows that the people of Somers, and is confident that this predominantly lily-white town is going to love the idea of this celebration being held at this place that salutes slavery and rape and greed and terror and hatred and pedophilia and dehumanization, and that now has come to be a revered fixture of our town? America cannot continue to fall for the lies that's being proliferated about black people in order to keep them down through institutionalized means. It's time to start talking about the good things that our people continue to do despite slavery, despite institutionalized racism, despite hatred, despite their homes and lands being stolen from them or burned to the ground, despite bigotry and everything that people in power have done and continue to do to denigrate us. So in celebrating America, we need to tell the truth. Let's teach, and celebrate that much of which you have come to enjoy in this country has been built not only by slave labor, but through more free labor by the imprisonment of millions of black men who continued to lose their freedom through wrongful imprisonment after slavery could no longer be practiced. Why don't we begin to uplift, tell the truth, and so start to heal this country and celebrate the truth? And let's do that with this celebration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Janice Martin, 92 Colorado Drive. I agree with Giselle, but I also have another problem with holding it at Hillsdale. I wonder why Hillsdale was picked as a location for a public town celebration, as it is a private venue. Also, Hillsdale is a church that has been in town only a few years. Its executive director is an Anglican clergyman. And I quote from the Blake Center for Faith and Freedom website, quote, "The Somers Zoning Commission agreed with the college that the college is a religious institution and that its plans for the Somers property constitute religious institutional uses protected by state, federal, and constitutional law." I heard that we have separation of church and state. But if you're holding this celebration at a church, why not the Somers Congregational Church, which will be celebrating its 300th anniversary in 2027? Somers Congregational has been part of the history of town since before the Revolutionary War. So it's obviously, if you're going to hold it at a church, that would be a better location. Also, many people I have told about this location have stated they will not attend if it is held there because of Hillsdale's agenda. Okay, and also, mentioned this before. Hillsdale promised to, quote, compensate the town of Somers for any loss of taxes that would have been generated if the subject property had remained on the town of Somers tax roll. And that's quoted from an impact analysis authorized by them on February 19th, 2020. So if Hillsdale believes that this celebration is its payment in lieu of taxes, it is not. It is nothing but a promotion of Hillsdale. Thank you.
Pat Loftus, 12 Northwest Drive. I'm here tonight to state my opinion with factual information that the town of Somers should have no connection to the Hillsdale College in any capacity. For those who may be unaware of their history and background, let me fill you in with some research taken from their own website, plus a variety of other sources. When you search Hillsdale and the Heritage Foundation, the following is found. Hillsdale College and the Heritage Foundation are both prominent organizations within the American conservative movement with overlapping goals and areas of influence. Hillsdale is a private Christian liberal arts college known for its strong emphasis on American exceptionalism, there is no definition of that, and its conservative curriculum. The Heritage Foundation is a public policy research institute that develops and promotes conservative policy solutions. They collaborate on initiatives like Project 2025, which aims to reshape, and that's a quote, the federal government based on conservative principles. Their mission, Hillsdale's mission, is to provide a classical liberal arts education that prepares students to be leaders and to preserve American heritage. Doesn't say whose. Curriculum. The college is known for its rigorous curriculum focused on Western civilization, American history, and political philosophy, emphasizing limited government and individual liberty. K-12 education. Hillsdale has become a key player in conservative efforts to influence the K-12 education, developing and promoting the 1776 curriculum. Relationship with the Heritage Foundation. Hillsdale's president, Larry Arnn, it's A-R-N-N, I believe it's pronounced correctly, is on the advisory board of Project 2025, and the college is a member of the coalition of organizations supporting the initiative. Initiative being an active word. There's no notation as to who the other organizations are. When you search the Heritage Foundation and Arnn, you find the following. Larry Arnn became the 12th president of Hillsdale College, a liberal arts college founded in 1844. Hillsdale College is a member of the advisory board of Project 2025, a collection of conservative and right-wing policy proposals from the Heritage Foundation to reshape the United States federal government and consolidate executive power since Trump won the election in 2024. And that's a quote from them. Additional research. What is the controversy with Hillsdale College? Educators and liberal-leaning parents object to Hillsdale's curriculum, saying it inserts a right-wing worldview into K-12 schools. The American Historical Association has accused the 1776 curriculum of downplaying racism, the Great Migration, is undefined and unknown if this refers to white Europeans encouraged by the government to move westward and usurp lands, culture, and sacred grounds of our indigenous peoples, and the power of the Ku Klux Klan. According to NBC, Hillsdale College is leading a conservative overhaul of K-12. According to the February 13th, 2025 Collegian, which is the school newspaper, college president Larry Arnn received the Great American Award from the Heritage Foundation, and that was April. He's been a trustee of the Heritage Foundation since 2002. On the front page of the Collegian, there's an announcement of a video called The Story of America. Couldn't run the preview. The following is from that newspaper's issue. The White House Salute to America 250 Task Force has partnered with Hillsdale College to provide a history series that tells the remarkable story of American independence. It will highlight the stories of the crucial characters and events that resulted in a small ragtag army defeating the mightiest empire in the world and establishing the greatest republic ever to exist. This is the story of America. Maybe. This is our shared heritage and our proud destiny that will continue to lead us to unimaginable achievements in the centuries to come. I wonder if this video will be played on a large outdoor screen on a loop for hours. I ask whose history is being told in this video. That of the people who arrived from white Europe, my own ancestors included. That of the white insurrectionists who defied England. How about the writers of the Constitution who years later after the war was won put to paper a format for governing often thought to be a copy of the Iroquois Nation's compact? There are 5 large tribes in northeastern North America who had a compact, and it was a written one, and there is some debate whether Jefferson had a copy of it and used it. How about the history still being written of the indigenous peoples who were forced off their lands for many decades, placed in government boarding schools to erase their language, their history, their remembrance of family connections, all in the name of making them American, without citizenship and certainly without a vote? How about the history of the millions of enslaved people who toiled for small farmers, large plantation holders, who were the 1% of the day, the religious schools and colleges who only recently have accepted their role in enslavement of adults and children of another color? How about the recruitment of the Chinese laborers to build our railroads who were shot and buried in mass graves so that the railroad companies did not have to pay them upon completion of their work? Does this video recall the use of concentration camps in California during World War II due to the Japanese scare after Pearl Harbor? Does this video only tell the stories of the originators of the Constitution and the infancy of the Republic, perhaps up to the mid-1850s? Is Carnegie, Mellon, Rockefeller, Walton, the Koch brothers, the multiple oil barons, and the new century tech barons included, but no mention of the factory workers who worked for Ford, the small grocers who got pushed out of business by the Walmarts? How about the farmers who labored to feed their families but were then bought out by conglomerates? How about those who are being chased down in farm fields today, kidnapped and sent to a country they have never been to without due process? Does this video tell the story of all the New England textile and shoemakers who were forced out of business because their owners were bought out by bigger businesses who then went overseas for cheaper goods? I'm sure this video cannot even begin to cover all the histories in 30 minutes or less. After all, it took Ken Burns and his platform of PBS decades to tell us the stories that make us who we are, with all the wrinkles and the pockmarks included. I believe Hillsdale College and the Heritage Foundation, through Project 2025, formerly known as the document that the Moral Majority wrote in the late 1970s, is not a constitutionalist movement. It's a revisionist movement. Their aim is to create a theocracy through Christian nationalism, but that's a whole other evening's discussion. This community has no business cozying up to any group whose focus is to tear down and rebuild the Constitution to their religious beliefs. The Constitution needs to be reread, not rewritten. My solution to using Hillsdale's property is instead to use Field Road Park, with a bus shuttle from the school parking lots for those who choose not to walk or cannot walk the distance. We have flushable toilets at the park that can be augmented with rentals of corporate portables that are handicap accessible. If people want food trucks, permits can be issued, as they are for the Four-Town Fair. The same goes for a beer garden if the community so wishes. This should be a family-friendly series of events with no slanted political or religious overtones.
Thank you.
Thank you. From the National Archives, for about $12.99 each, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and there are other books in the series.
I got the Declaration of
I would
Independence.
suggest if you haven't read them, please do.
Wow.
How much longer is this going to go, by the way? Just curious. We've already been 27 minutes.
This is going to be short. This will be
Just
really
curious.
short.
How about the rest of the crowd?
Dismissing has to.
It's okay, we have a free country. You're entitled to speak.
Good evening, or good afternoon. My name is Eileen Fedorowicz, and I'm a resident of Woodcrest. I've been getting a history lesson here, and I'm so glad I decided to attend. As to the question of whether we hold our anniversary celebration, in all honesty, I don't think using the Hillsdale venue would exemplify the true spirit of the American people or this town, for that matter. Do we forget the dubious way in which Hillsdale became part of Summers? How when they could not have their way in our town, they threatened legal action based on, as some said, pulling the religious card and wrongly claiming that Summers was showing prejudice towards them. The truth was that most of us were merely concerned about the tax revenue that would disappear if they received their status as a religious organization, as they did. Interestingly, I don't think the answer as to how the town ever made up the shortage of this revenue was ever fully explained to this day. And perhaps you, Selectman Keeney, will remember that I had posed that exact question at a presentation at the at your presentation at the Summers Women's Club meeting, when you were going about town singing Hillsdale's virtues. I remember your response to my question was that the town would work out the monetary differences and fill the shortfall in some way. I don't recall hearing how that ever did get worked out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Catherine Mashak, 54 Springfield Road. Can I ask questions?
We're not going to discuss, we're not answering questions.
You're not answering questions?
I'll answer the question if I know the answer.
Well, this is the first I'm hearing about a lot of stuff. And I just want to say, I guess what is hitting me in the head, I'm French-Canadian, Polish, Ukrainian, and Italian. I'm second and third generation in this country. I come from hardy peasant stock. I'm politically and religiously unaffiliated. I had a good liberal arts education from a Catholic women's college. Taught me how to think. I also recognize that on the 72 years I've been on this earth, I didn't always make the best choices. And I think that our history of this country, we didn't always make the best choices. There's things I don't agree with. But this is a celebration about where we are right now. How far we've come. And I think that if we all dwell on everything that we ever did that was wrong in our lives, the judgments that we made at the time that didn't kind of work out. My mother had a saying, you make a choice, it doesn't work out, you make another choice, make another decision. Maybe it's time to make a few other decisions. And I'm interested on exactly who's on the committee, and are you accepting volunteers for that committee? And that's kind of where I'm coming from. And right now, I don't particularly have an opinion about where it should be or how it should be, other than we need to celebrate As a woman, I don't want to live anywhere else in this world. I think just want to celebrate the opportunities that people do have living here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will keep it short, as all the speakers before me have had very valid and eloquent points and passionate points that they made. I wanted to express my alarm and disappointment about the planning for the 250 celebration.
Can you just state your name and address? I'm sorry.
Karen Murphy, 187 South Road.
Just people are watching and it's recorded, so just so there's a record. That's all. Thank you.
Yes.
187 South Road.
So, I just want the selectmen to know that some of the things you say, we hear, or all of the things you say, we hear, but the things you don't do don't match up with the things that you say. So, I would like to see a little more accountability as to how the celebration town is going to celebrate, and to pretend that Good Hill College is an unbiased location. You just have to look at their website. Thank you.
Hi to the board and staff and my fellow summer citizens. Thanks for the opportunity to address this, what I consider to be an incredibly important topic as someone who loves my country and the town we live in. I'd like to endorse in the strongest possible. Oh, sorry. I thought I did. It's Lisa Horan, 43 Shady Dell Lane.
We know who a lot of you are, but just
I know. Thank you. I forgot. It's right here on my notes too.
Okay.
I'd like to endorse in the strongest possible terms points made in objection to all of the planning of this event, specifically, first, the formation of the committee. The technical leaflet of the American Association for State and Local History, forming a local 250th commission on the Connecticut America 250 website, lists 4 strategies for forming a commission. First, a request from citizen to city manager. Second, a request from citizen to elected body. Third, a nonprofit 501c3 with a board of trustees. Fourth, if you are in a wide range of other situations, ranging from there being so much interest that it's difficult to be non-political, then there might need to be a committee or a working group. The goal is, this is from their leaflet, the goal is to choose the option that best enables an atmosphere that will attract a diverse and active group that brings together professionals with stakeholders from outside of history and museums. Nowhere do the guidelines suggest that a commission should be formed by one individual in a town handpicking and inviting people. The leaflet goes on to state that it's important to cast the net wide by making a public announcement through media outlets asking for volunteers. You may attract new talent. Potential commissioners should be vetted to ensure that they understand the role they are signing up for, know that it's unpaid, and have some skills that contribute to the mission. A good way to gauge these factors is to ask for a letter of interest or resume to be submitted to an appointing body. A press release in local newspapers might attract good candidates. You should consider teachers, museum professionals, historical society trustees, members of ancestral organizations, local business owners, genealogists, professors, grad students, authors, media, marketing professionals, students, anyone with civic connections and a creative disposition willing to serve. Bringing together as many different perspectives and supporting skills as possible will enhance the process of managing the commemoration. That's not what was done in forming the committee as it is currently constituted. Second, I'd like to address reliance on town employees as members of the committee. First, the guidelines for formation of these committees as set forth by the state state that committee members should be unpaid, not employees doing the work on the clock. Second, town employees serving on an adjunct committee with another town employee or elected official who outranks them and has influence on their working conditions, promotions, salaries, etc., have a built-in conflict of interest. They are constrained in their ability to express opinions that may not be shared by their superior. In summary, regarding formation of the committee, it was created at best without consultation with or adherence to state guidelines, and at worst, at the sole discretion of the first selectman in consultation with unknown others, most likely including local representatives of Hillsdale College. It cannot in any way be considered legitimate, inclusive, or representative of all the citizens of Somers, and thus neither can its work product, including site location, speakers, programming, etc. If this foundational problem is not rectified with a newly formed committee in keeping with state guidelines and dedicated to fairness, transparency, and representativeness, the events planned by the committee, as it's currently formed and operating, must be labeled as, quote, the Somers First Selectmen / RTC's celebration of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, brought to you by one of America's leading Christian conservative institutions. Next, I'd like to address, as people have, Hillsdale College. Any suggestion that Hillsdale College is a recognized expert in the fields of American history, founding fathers, founding documents, etc., is false and propaganda. Any way you wish to Google this institution, the following two words come up immediately in every search result, every time: Christian and conservative. What Hillsdale College has expertise in is, and they do possess this expertise, I'm not debating it, a completely partisan and biased interpretation of the history, governments, and politics of this country. One of their founding core principles is faith. It identifies itself as a non-sectarian Christian college, emphasizing the importance of Christian faith and principles in its mission and education. This is not inclusive of all the people in this country or even all the people of this town. Furthermore, organizations dedicated to First Amendment freedom of speech criticize Hillsdale for policies that allow it to censor student speech based on subjective interpretations of improper, offensive, or abusive content. They don't defend freedom of speech for all. Furthermore, Hillsdale has become widely known per numerous news organizations judged to be neutral and mainstream as, quote, NBC, the go-to resource for conservatives looking to overhaul K-12 education, as Pat cited. The college's name is shorthand for civics lessons that teach children to love America and reject the notion that racism still permeates society. The American Historical Association, for example, states that Hillsdale's 1776 curriculum downplays racism, the Great Migration, and the power of the Ku Klux Klan. This is ahistorical. Per the AHA director, what they've done is simply left stuff out in an attempt to shape a vision of patriotism. What they're also trying to do is replace an approach to teaching that teaches students how to think with an approach that teaches students what to think. Furthermore, Hillsdale's strong stance against federal funding for education has also been a source of great controversy. I'd like to ask members of the Board of Selectmen and Board of Education to discuss their plans for funding Somers Public Schools absent federal funding if Hillsdale has its way. In summary, regarding Hillsdale, which is a leading national institution in the conservative Christian interpretation of our history, I would like to pose a hypothetical. Suppose a wealthy Summers resident were a huge fan of the Winter Palace in Petrograd in Russia, the site of the events of the Bolshevik Revolution. And suppose she built a replica of the Winter Palace in town and then donated it to the Progressive Policy Institute or the Democratic Socialists of America. Would anyone view events held at this hypothetical property as nonpartisan or apolitical? Anyone? Next, regarding Monticello. Some may celebrate Monticello and its reproduction here in town for its association with Thomas Jefferson, one of our country's founding fathers. These people may not or do not wrestle with the dark sides of both Monticello and Thomas Jefferson. Others, including myself, engage with difficult facts. Because as Mark Twain said, patriotism is supporting your country and your government when it deserves it. Monticello was a large plantation, and Jefferson, while acknowledging the moral depravity, his words, of slavery, profited from it, owning more than 600 enslaved people throughout his life, in searing contradiction with his stated ideals. Despite expressing a desire to keep families together, he sold enslaved people away from their families and gave some as gifts to his children and grandchildren. Additionally, he engaged in a long sexual relationship with an enslaved woman who was at 16 when it started and without any rights as human property, therefore completely not able by any stretch of imagination, law, or morality could be considered to have consented. I consider it profoundly ignorant and immoral not to engage with this history and not to acknowledge that while a simplistic view of Monticello might be home of a founding father, to many others it is the scene of perpetration of extreme moral hypocrisy and unspeakably amoral behavior and acts. In view of the many problems presented by Hillsdale, standing for one religion and one political, historical, and philosophical viewpoint and method of interpretation, and Hillsdale's, at best, downplaying of the complicated history of our country, and Hillsdale's restriction on free speech, and their extreme rejection of federal funding of education, and in view of the fact that Monticello is a highly inflammatory historical site to many people, I would submit that literally any other public location in the town of Summers would be a less controversial and less offensive selection for the site of a celebration of the Declaration of Independence. In summation, I urge the Board of Selectmen and the First Selectman to reformulate this committee in keeping with the guidelines set forth by the state, and that the reformed committee's work be guided by a spirit of inclusivity, representativeness, and willingness to wrestle with the complete picture of the truth of the founding and present state of this country. Thank you.
Emily Santinella, 9th District Road.
What's your last name?
Santinella. So I grew up in this town, and we decided to continue to raise our family here. We moved back in 2020 from a neighboring town that had a very strong lack of diversity and lack of acknowledgement of it. When my daughter's first day of fifth grade, she came home and told me they watched Hidden Figures in school. I was very optimistic. She's now a junior and taking AP History. They recently did a field trip down to the Mashantucket Pequot Museum, which does not shy away from the history of our country. I am a descendant of somebody who came over on the Mayflower. That's a conversation that we have in our house of, yeah, that is something to be proud of. However, that's how my kids first learned the term weight washing, when they came home with those adorable little Pilgrim and Native American projects in elementary school. So at this point, as my kids get older, and as my daughter is a big fan of history, and my boys as well, we go to museums regularly, we talk about these things and have honest conversations. So I'm speaking to you as a parent here. I would not in a million years feel comfortable bringing my children to a town event at a location at Hillsdale College with a replica of Monticello. It is, it's not something I could justify. It's not something I could comfortably support. And I am certain that I'm not the only parent that feels this way. But I don't think that there's a nice way to present it that doesn't lie to the kids, frankly. And I'm not willing to lie to my children about this sort of thing and the history of this place. So I think you will find there'll be a number of families that will not attend any sort of celebration at that location. Thank you.
Are there any other people that want to speak?
Guys, do I have the final word?
Of course.
Gary and their words.
Ann Levesque, 230 Four Bridges Road. I was not invited to be a member of the committee, but I did go to Tim, and I asked him if I could be, and he said yes. I did bring up the issues of the meeting we had last week that were spoken of here, but I knew we only had 1 hour for the meeting, so when I was told no and given the reasons by you, Tim, and the others that backed you up, I felt that there wasn't any consideration taken, and I'm not good with comebacks, but I think this group here proved they have a lot of comebacks, and it is a controversial place, which is one thing I said, and a few other things I said. So I'm thankful for the committee, the DTC committee, and other people for coming here and saying what needed to be said. And I hope you take those things into consideration. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think that concludes our public comment, unless there's any others that want to speak. Thank you. President,
I'd just like to say I hope that what is said tonight is being listened, and I hope that we do have some revisions to how things were formulated, and I hope it's just that these people are not ignored, since I was completely in the dark on this whole thing just like they were. So
that wasn't my plan.
Well, whatever, you did a good job.
That's what happens.
Is your plan or not, that's
All
what
right,
happens.
you want to speak anymore?
Well, I don't know, you're cutting me off, so...
I'm just asking you. Go ahead.
Well, what I'd just like to say is I hope we can change things. The people in our town are asking us to change something. They'd like to change, first, the location of where this celebration is going to be. Second, the composition of this committee. And I would hope that we would have a much more democratic process for how this goes. You know, otherwise it was very authoritarian.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other further comments? Presentation by First Selectman. I just want to mention that we do have a National Night Out planned for tomorrow evening. Field Road Park starts from 5 o'clock and goes until 7:30. This is a presentation by fire and police and other entities in town as to their what they're up to and what they represent. An opportunity to bring your families and to learn a little about what goes on in Summers. Finance. Any transfers or appropriations? No. CFO's finance report and update.
The only thing I have today, we submitted the short form ambulance rates for 2026. It's a 2.1% increase from by the state. So we got that in. It was due by August 31st. We're well ahead of the schedule.
Great. Thank you. Presentations of scheduled payments.
Happy to make a motion to approve the scheduled payments in the amount of $122,143.84.
Second that motion.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in support say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Updates from boards and commissions. I think we have none of those. Pending business, we have none. New business. Separation of payout for Andrea Vetrano, our town sanitarian.
Yep. So we calculated the remaining balances of both sick and vacation time. Calculated the hourly rate as of date of termination, or date of separation, I should say, and total payout $17,032.62.
Are there adequate funds in the separation fund to pay this?
There are currently not. We're going to have to put together a transfer. As when we did the budget, I wasn't aware of this one, so it was not budgeted as part of the transfer. So we'll have to either do an internal transfer or request an appropriation.
This is part of her salary anyway, so it's not going to cost the town anything extra, correct?
Well, it's part of her salary, yes, but
Right, so
No, these are benefits that are paid for that are in addition to her salary.
right.
Okay, all right, okay. I understand.
And we're hiring a replacement that we're going to have to pay, and actually the replacement's getting paid more than she was, so I think we're going to have a shortfall.
Right.
Okay, all right.
I make a motion to approve the separation payout for Andrea Vetrano as presented.
Second?
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in support say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Aye.
Next is to accept the resignation of our town health director, or the summer's health director, Melissa Pierce, a part-time position, effective August 25, 2025.
Good evening, Director Rowland, Director of Land Use Public Works. Yes, Melissa Pierce, who was our health director, has tendered a resignation effective August 25th of this month. As you know, we have hired Jeffrey Catlett to be our health director / sanitarian to take over Andrea's position as well as take over Melissa's position. Melissa notified the Department of Health this morning, emailed them to tell them of our plan. Melissa came in last year at the resignation of our last health director and worked part-time with Andrea for anything that we needed done as far as the health department in town. With the hiring of Jeffrey Catlett, he is a licensed health director and sanitarian, and we will now have a full-time health director / sanitarian on August 25th. So she has tendered her resignation. I wanted to thank her publicly. She's done a great job and helped us out in our time of need.
No, she has been great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And she did attend our meeting, but I think it was 2 or 3 meetings ago she was here.
Yes.
Plus, I saw her last week.
She's been coming in Thursdays and Fridays to cover for Andrea's after Andrea left.
Yeah, you told us that, yeah.
No, she's been very helpful.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, she's very nice.
Appreciate her willingness to step aside since we hired her full-time.
It was part of her plan for Summers, for instance, to get a full-time health director, and that's what she did in South Windsor as well.
So we need a motion for this.
I'm happy to make a motion to accept the resignation of the Summers Health Director, Melissa Pierce, effective August 25th, 2025.
Second that.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in support say aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Next item on the agenda is the appointment of David Leonard, Summers Fire Chief, as the Emergency Management Director.
Yes, as you know, since Ann Canoyer resigned last November, I've been the interim emergency management director added to my duties as the other things I do. And covering the emergency management department, that is not ideal. Been in talks with Chief Leonard as well as Frank Poirier for the deputy position, which will come up next, to reorganize the emergency management department. We feel that having the fire chief as the director makes a lot of sense because he's going to be at any large-scale events. He would be an operating director the way we're looking at that, and the deputy would be the one for liaising with the CERT team, which is we have 25 members now, as well as completing all the annual paperwork for the state for the 2 grants we get from the state and the Fed. We think this is a good way to go, to have a director and a deputy. The deputy will also be working out of the fire department, which will allow us to bring CERT into the fire department more and include them in training and get to know, get FaceTime, let's say, with members of the fire department, which is our primary point for most emergencies in town. So I'm requesting that the Board of Selectmen appoint Fire Chief as the Emergency Management Director for this first motion.
Very good. I think we need a motion for this.
I'd have to make a motion to appoint David Lenhart, the Summers Fire Chief, as the Emergency Management Director for a 2-year term, expiring 12/22/27.
Second that motion.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
We also do the next one,
That's
too.
we're doing the next one.
My next request is to appoint Frank Poirier as the Deputy Emergency Management Director. Frank will do most of the work, let's say, certainly the CERT part as well as the paperwork for the state, which Frank is very good at. Frank comes to us. He is the co-leader and training officer of the CERT team. He's prior military, was a combat military police officer. He's currently works for the state as an IT analyst. And operates a small business in town. He's also the Summers American Legion Post 101 commander. Comes to us with a wealth of knowledge and doesn't sleep a lot. We'll get a lot of traction out of Frank. Did I miss anything? Frank's kind of a work machine. So I think this will be a nice add-on to that. It'll allow us to meld CERT in the fire department more than we have in the past. And it'll help to build those relationships on FaceTime. Currently, CERT is tasked with the EOC, which is the watch room at the fire department anytime there's an event, and also primary task is to operate the shelter. Secondary task is to operate our cooling and warming centers when we open them, as well as routine events like the concerts on the green, traffic control for the holiday events, and
fill in for the emergency management director when he's doing other things.
Pardon?
And fill in for the emergency management
Correct.
director.
In the event the
when he's
emergency
doing
management
something
director
else.
is not there, the
Right.
deputy would fill in those parts.
Very good.
Doing this, I propose we pay Frank a stipend of $1,000 a month out of the emergency management budget. And there's a line item in there. And taking that out with the remaining $19,200, transferring that to the fire department to allow the fire department to hire some administrative staff, part-time people to help with the administrative challenges that they have there. Currently, the fire chief does not have an administrative support and has stated that the daily administrative duties are quite daunting. And would really benefit by having a professional, part-time, non-benefited administrative person helping out in the fire department, as I do in the public works department.
So we're not actually creating the job of the assistant administrative person now, are we?
No.
No.
That'll
Yeah,
come.
I think that needs to be another discussion.
Yeah,
Separate item.
That's a separate item. Right now, we're just hiring Frank as the deputy emergency management
And
director at
so he's-
$1,000 a month stipend.
Right.
Out of the emergency management line item.
All right, happy to make a motion to request, to appoint Frank Poirier as the Deputy Emergency Manager Director for a 2-year term, expiring in 12/22/27.
I'll second that. I have a few questions.
Go ahead.
So number one, I fully support Frank. I think Frank should do a great job. I think it's the right choice. I'm fully on board with this reorganization. I guess I just want to make sure that we structure this and the stipend in a way that's going to comply with everything. I know sometimes with emergency services, there's some leeway, but whether it's a salaried part-time position or however it's structured, I think we just got to be careful that we do it in a way that
Agreed.
we comply with all this. So I think we may have to discuss it. I know, like, some fire departments do it for officers and things, like part-time fire chiefs and things, but I mean, I think we need to make sure with an appointment letter, we have a structure set out as to what it is. So,
Okay.
it's a 4-hour-a-week salary position or whatever
Right.
it is.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
it just needs to have some definition so that we're not expecting them to be here 20 hours a week or we haven't seen them for a month or whatever, we got to set it.
Yeah, I think you just say 20 hours.
20 hours
a
per month is what
Okay.
I envision.
And that's fine. I think we
You
just
okay with that?
set that
Set that
out
in their offer letter,
in the offer letter.
Okay.
So it's a salaried part-time position.
Right.
Right.
Good. All right. I think great. Thank you for stepping up and look forward to working with you on that role.
Very good. Thank you. All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion accepted. Approved. Thank you. One last item.
Two.
Two items.
Two, okay.
Next item is
E-waste
the e-waste vendor. I'm requesting the Board of Selectmen approve our request to change our e-waste vendor from Take-Two to New Tech and authorize the first selectman to execute all documents related to this change. Our current e-waste vendor is Take-Two. They've been with us since around 2011. They were on the state's list and still are on the state's list. Initially, they were great. In the last few years, their service has degraded. We have to call them often, and when they come, they don't usually take everything, and they tend to leave a mess. This has been going on for a good 3 years now, and we've been keeping our eyes open. We were contacted by New Tech because they're now the e-waste vendor for many of our sister communities, such as Ellington, Stafford, Windsor, Vernon, Manchester, Bloomfield, West Hartford, Farmington, Plainville, Bristol, Wyndham, Andover, Marlborough, Woodstock, and Thompson. And we've contacted those towns, and they all really like New Tech. They do a good job. They come in, they're clean. They take the white goods, like Take-Two. Take-Two says they take white goods, and they do a little bit, but that's been a bone of contention as well. White goods being freezers and refrigerators and things
Sounds
like
like
that.
a great idea.
They have a really good rep. They are on the state vendor list for e-waste, and this is a free program. It's only our staff time to manage it. It is a part of the EPR program for e-waste, taking all covered electronic devices such as computers, monitors, printers, things of that nature. So I'm requesting permission to change to New Tech and give the first selectman.
How often do they pick, how often?
We call, it's a we call. We're on a we call. We'll call them, but it's typically weekly or bi-weekly, but it fills up fairly, it's kind of like the mattresses. I don't know where it all comes from, but it's often. But anytime it's getting full, we call them, and they've had some staffing issues, like many companies. They've had truck issues, at least that's what they tell us, and staffing's been a challenge, and we're kind of out of the way for them, particularly now that
Where are they located?
downstate, like in Bridgeport, way down.
Oh, okay. That sounds like a good move, Todd.
No notice we have to give anything to terminate.
We'll give them a 30-day notice.
Sure, that's what their current contract requires.
Their contract is expired.
I would think it would be from 12 years ago. Okay, I'm good with it.
My plan is to terminate their agreement with Take-Two, even though it's expired effective September 30th, to give them plenty of time, because we're already into August, so.
Got it.
I'm fine with
Full
that.
full month's notice.
All right. So we need a motion?
Need a motion
for us to change the town Summers e-waste vendor from Take-Two to New Tech. Is that what you're looking for, Todd?
Yes.
All right.
To commence
And allow the first
To
selectman to
commence,
sign
and
off.
when would that
September
start?
30th?
Effective November 1st. I'm sorry, October 1st.
October. Okay, effective October. Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion on the motion? All those in support say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you.
And finally, I have an update for the Ellington Summer Shared Services Pilot Program, which we signed last December. There's a graph here. We've had 7 residents of Ellington come to Summer's Recycling Center and bring their bulky waste for a total revenue to us of $633. That's gross revenue. It doesn't include our tipping fees, which are like $85 a ton. Does she have pounds? Yeah, so it was a total of 3.5 tons that we took in and charged $633. We have had Ellington come to us and recover Freon from 95 units, those air conditioners, freezers, refrigerators, what have you, at our total cost to us of $475. We then crush those units and put them in the metal can and get, we get a check from Levier for the metal that we recycle.
That sounds like it's working really well, Todd.
So far, so good. It's working well. We get notice from the Ellington DPW that someone wants to come here. They call Christina and so it's Rick in the booth know who the person is. They show an ID and then they pay. They go over the scale.
So I recall this is pretty much the way you thought it was going to go, too.
Yeah.
No surprise.
It's been
here. A revenue producer to some extent.
Yeah, it's a net revenue producer. As far as our white goods, that's part of the reason we wanted to get away from Take Two, because they've been slow to take them. Hopefully New Tech's better, and we won't have to rely on Ellington coming to recover the Freon to get our white goods, but we still have that option if we need it, so we'll see how it goes with the new company.
Yeah, Ellington's been great. They've been really...
Yeah, Ellington's great to deal with. They really are.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks for the
Thanks
update.
for putting this together so fast,
This
too.
is great.
Christina, she has it in the picture, so.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you.
Nice to have an assistant like that.
Yes, he's on top.
She's great.
Great. All those, let's see. We don't need a motion on
Just
that.
informational.
Next we have is the approval of minutes of July.
The Colliers, the last item 7.
Oh, sorry, Colliers?
Item 7 on the agenda.
Right, okay. Bill, you're going to talk about that.
So the HVAC Building Committee, which I chair, has been meeting every 2 weeks. We've been discussing the project and the path forward. The committee has reflected, I think, on the project to date. I mean, this project's been going on now for a number of years. It's now gone across 3 superintendents, has been kind of plagued by cost overruns, bad estimates, and just a lot of problems. I think the good news is that we're starting to get the project back on track. But the committee feels that in order to keep the project on track, we need to take in a little bit of a different direction. And part of that direction is a new consultant to help guide the committee. So we hired a short-term consultant at our last meeting, STV. So I'd say so far the committee's been very happy with STV's work. We're going to get a report at our meeting tomorrow. However, the committee feels that terminating the agreement with Colliers, now Colliers was our previous owner's rep, is in the best interest of the project. The committee voted, it was a unanimous vote, to recommend to the Board of Selectmen the termination of the contract. So since the board and the first selectmen are the legal entity, the contract, it would be appropriate then for this board to consider and take action if they agree with the committee's recommendation. The proposal will be to terminate it in accordance with our current contract, which requires 30 days notice, and that will be with an effective date of September 30th, 2025.
Oh, sounds good.
Make a motion for that.
Yeah, happy to make a motion to terminate the agreement between the Summers Public Schools, Colliers Project Leaders, USA NE LLC, an effective date of September 30th, 2025.
I think you'd also authorize the first selectman to sign the termination document.
Yes.
Right, too.
All right.
And I'll second that. And I mean, I think, going forward, I mean, we've learned some lessons, but I mean, just noticing here, I mean, the agreement's really between the town of Summers and not the Summers Public Schools.
Right.
And that's legally how these work. And I think just these minor details matter. And I think we'll be able to fix that going forward.
And we had unanimous support by the committee members.
By the committee.
Everybody agreed.
All right, good.
Any further discussion on the motion? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you. Approval of the minutes of our July 24, 2025 special meeting of the Board of Selectmen.
I had one correction, a minor correction.
What do you got?
So under Section C, executive session, I would just add the sentence where it says executive session ended at 5:10 p.m. Just to clarify, no votes were taken during executive session, and then just the vote after. So that vote was taken in open session,
Yes.
not
Right.
in executive, just to clarify.
Okay, no worries.
Make sure people understand. Right.
But that's my only correction, otherwise these look good.
Okay.
Which item was, the number was that?
Under section C, to add a sentence after executive session ended at 5:10, and the sentence would say, no votes
No
were
votes
taken
taken.
during executive session.
Oh, okay.
And then it would just continue with the vote that we did take in the public session.
Right.
That we adjourned to.
Clear.
Other than, good otherwise. Make a motion to approve the minutes of the July 24th, 2025 meeting.
As amended?
As amended.
Great.
Yeah, second that?
Any further discussion on the motion? All those in support say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Your motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Adjourn.
Thank you.
6:12.